We can start? Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is George Nosievich, and I'm here with my colleague Denis Gamayunov, and we're going to present our take on web application firewalls. Next slide, please. So, while observing the web industry and the web security industry over the last decade, this is a known trend that web is now becoming the new desktop, which means that everything is ported to web. New applications are written either for the web only or have like the heavy web component. Also, the mobile applications use web to communicate with the backend and between each other. Not only this, but the fact that old processes and services gets pushed to the web also, which means that the average complexity of the web applications on the web rises. We see more and more applications with a very complex business logic. Also, web technologies evolve very rapidly, which means that compared to the 90s web application, which consisted only of server code with very little to no client component and client dynamics. Now the web application consists of actually two programs. One of them is on the client and one on the server, which communicate using their custom unique protocol implemented over HTTP. Next slide, please. This raises the demand for protection software, which understands all these additional layers of abstraction which are built upon the HTTP protocol. Conventional software thinks of HTTP as the topmost protocol in the protocol stack, which was true 10 to 15 years ago. But now HTTP is the new TCP, the new base protocol, the new foundation, and applications need to implement layers of abstraction upon the protocol. Some of these layers are implemented with frameworks, for example, session management, authentication, etc. But some features are implemented by web application developers, and each time they do it in their own unique way. Currently, current software tries to tackle this problem on a case-by-case basis, implementing some kludges and based on their old architecture. So, our next slide, please. Our proposition is to think about the web application differently, to establish new ways to describe the web application, how it functions, to look at various aspects of the application that are relevant for securing it, to extract this knowledge from the traffic, the transactions between the user and the application, or between the application and other applications. And when we have this model, when we know how the web application functions, we can detect inconsistencies, malicious activity, and anomalous behavior. And also, knowing how the application works can provide us with means to react proactively and in a tailored to application way. So currently we have designed the architecture, and also we have the UI that abstracts out all the stuff that can be automated. Our next steps is we're starting some pilots right now with various Russian companies to get their feedback and to improve on the usability and on the architecture and the technical details. We are planning to have the release by the end of 2015. We're starting the public PR campaign, which includes speaking at the conferences and making bypass challenges, also speaking and presenting at expos and gaining media coverage.
Okay, so we're aiming at Russian market first of all, and also Commonwealth of Independent States. And next we're going to look at Asia-Pacific region. We aim at very different types of customers, and I will not stop on this slide. I'm going to say something about our competitors. There's quite a lot of web application firewalls actually available in commercial, but what we may say about ourselves is when watching the application, we see more than them because we are trying to reconstruct business logic automatically. first we're going to make direct sales, as George already said, and then extend our sales network using partnerships and so on. Also, we are going to make a service version, like cloud version of our web application firewall. And here is our team, me and George. We're from Moscow State University Lab, so welcome your questions.
Questions, please.
I have a question. The slide of how you do it was out of focus on purpose and without explanation of what makes you unique. It is very difficult for us to understand why you are better than anyone. You do not need to reveal your trade secret, but you need to tell us why you're not like everybody. You say you do better job than F5. Okay, how? You do not. We're not asking for you to start pulling code out, but why are you better?
Well, actually, what we think, and it doesn't have anything to do with the architecture, which is blurred, is we established new ways to think about the application. So, like current software thinks in very low-level terms, in terms of URLs and parameters, and this model doesn't scale well when the application is written in some other way, and when there are these layers of abstractions which I was talking about. So this means that for current application, it is more and more difficult to configure these conventional software to actually provide protection without false positives. So this is our main point. So
just to understand, so you're saying that you will listen into the traffic, you will try and understand the proprietary set of protocols on the business level, as well as from a syntax and semantics perspective, and do baselining, and then do whitelisting checks against that baselining based on the machine learning algorithms. Okay, great. So who is the machine learning expert that you have on the team?
The machine learning expert is not present here. She's a former student of Moscow State University, and she designs the algorithms and tests it.
So we've invested in a couple of machine learning based companies, but the problem that we're trying to tackle, and I'm putting aside for a second the issue of reverse engineering the protocols, let alone encrypted protocols and all of that, putting that aside for a second, which is a big problem. But even if you do that, then the kind of machine learning challenge that you have in front of you is one of the toughest ones, okay? Because it's not only are you trying to understand the individual messages, but also the message flow. And those message flows are on very different levels, right? You have the UI kind of flow, and you have the business logic, as you mentioned earlier. So these are completely decoupled from one another in most, typically designed web applications. And I think that this is a huge challenge. And yes, you may be able to detect some patterns in regards to whitelisting, but I think that the false positive will be something that customers will just cannot live with. So.
Yes, I have a quick remark, and I can expand a little bit on how we actually trying to do this. First of all, we design ways to describe this interaction without thinking about how we will automatically mine them. And we try to come up with interpretable models that can be that are observable by the operator, which makes it easier to make small changes for the automatically built model for it to work. Because some usual machine learning algorithms can provide models that are black box, and it is very hard to make some changes. And if the model doesn't work, you cannot fix it without rebuilding from scratch. And our aim is to make models that can be manually tackled. This is the aspect I didn't talk about.
50 seconds left.
What false positive, false negative results have you already achieved?
On our testing stance, we have acceptable level of false positives. I cannot give you the exact numbers, but the workflows that are supposed to be accepted are all accepted, and we use automated testing procedure to verify that. As to the pilot projects, we haven't collected enough data to answer this question yet.
So thank you.
Новая версия, да? Okay. Hello, my name is Sergey Velts. Here's my partner Vladimir Lebedev. I would like to introduce our company Cybertonica and its first product, OmniReact. OmniReact is a cloud risk intelligence hub for financial institutions and merchants that helps to find the right balance between profits and risks. Businesses on the internet need to process payments, but each payment carries a potential fraud risk. Key countermeasure here now is 3D Secure. It's an optional second factor in payment card authorization process. But 3D Secure is very bad for conversion rate. Current solutions don't solve this problem well. Next slide, please. OmniReact uses diverse signals such as biometry and online behavior analytics processed by machine learning to fight fraud attacks. During our work at Sberbank, we worked with current solutions and got an idea that we could do better. First version of OmniReact has been deployed in a large mobile operator in Russia in 2014. Here we see a main fraud scenario where a gang of carders and droppers tries to transfer money from users' cards to some phone accounts, then maybe to electronic wallets, and then get cash in ATMs. And we try to stop them here from doing this. Here's an example of a botnet, actually not the largest one. Okay. Here we see our deployment during this pilot. We have a client-side data collection module called OmniReact Beacon, a server-side platform, OmniReact Core. We get browsing histories from data providers, and we also have a case management system for security analysts, where they can in real time monitor events and investigate incidents. The system constantly learns using chargeback reports from Visa and MasterCard and security analysts' feedback. The results of the pilot are the revenue from mobile web top-up grew by 32%. 3D Secure challenges rate dropped twice, and the rate of reported fraud decreased sixfold.
Reported by Visa and MasterCard.
Yeah. And now we process about 1.5 million transactions per month, with total amount about $12 million.
and 25,000 cars are in our blacklist, and more than 10,000 phone numbers are also blacklisted.
A few words about our technology. We are not so rich yet to have hundreds of servers, so we are using sophisticated Mesos cluster management to share the servers between our jobs and tasks. We're also using Docker as a main containerization. We are using HDFS with Avro encoding to save a space to store our clickstreams. Clickstream processing I will address on the next slide. Omni React core is built using Scala and Eka with Interlink. Interlink is our internal graph store, and Sergey will talk a little bit about it later. And we do monitoring using Riemann, InfluxDB, and Graphite, of course. Okay, it will be hard. So let's skip this one.
Interlink is our custom graph temporal data store. It's versional, it's graph-oriented, it's scalable, it has pluggable NoSQL data engines. Now we are using MongoDB, and support for Redis and HBase will come soon. Here's our machine learning architecture. We use specialized models for different data, then a top-level model, and then we integrate statistical results with a traditional rules engine. Okay.
Okay, a few words about. Actually, competition is.
So I have a question. Okay.
We were preparing for 10 minutes. Sorry.
Okay. So if I can be a VC and play it back in one sentence, if you were going to give me an elevator pitch, let me see if I can play it back. You guys make it cheaper for websites to validate credit card transactions because they don't have to pay money to 3DS, and B, the accuracy of your scoring is 84% better than anybody else. Is that the whole thing?
No.
So then
The conversion is the main thing.
That would have been enough.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I was feeding you that line of like, it's good enough. Okay.
It is a part of truth. Yeah. The larger part is that their conversion is much better. So, if you see here, their revenue or transaction stream from the web channel increased 32%. It's rough, how much? $40 million.
Right, but you see,
annually.
the problem is you can't prove that's due to you. You might have had a better product. There was a sale. Somebody was selling something that all of a sudden appeared on.
Actually, their website doesn't change at all, and they have no campaigns.
I'm trying to lead you to a different conclusion.
Yeah.
What VCs like is you show us a number that says 84% decrease in one and 50% decrease in the other. There's absolutely no question it's you.
We've performed A/B testing, and it's partly true. Partly because, to say the truth, the methodology wasn't exact enough, because it's a working system. The revenue is large enough, and we just didn't have an opportunity to perform a test without this system, because we started to lose money, and then they just stopped. Okay, stop. We don't need your A/B testing. We need to secure the site.
Two questions. Do you have any hard false positive data that you can share?
We can share it, but it's again a question about methodology, because TDS rate or fraud rate is a bad metric actually. All people like to say that, look, we have 0.002% of fraud, but it's reported fraud.
And this is exactly my second comment. Okay, you use chargeback information to train your machine learning.
Yeah, but the amount
Okay,
of
so chargeback information is a very limited source. Okay, it's not covering many of the fraudulent scenarios. Okay, so for example, if you're processing merchants' data, okay, they care about not just chargebacks but also returns. Okay, for example, for e-commerce and stuff like that. So there are many different scenarios. Each one will yield a different model, right? So I'm kind of questioning the general nature of your solution and whether indeed you're able to persuade merchants and that false positive is acceptable.
Let me elaborate a bit about reported fraud. Only these two phone numbers are in reported fraud cases. All other cards and transactions were not reported, but we have blocked them and added to blacklists because they are very, very suspicious. It's just evident if you look at the picture. So reported fraud rate is a bad metrics. We should talk about suspicious transactions or and rate, but you can't measure it.
Quick question, just trying to understand the way the product is deployed. You mentioned there is a security analyst as part of the solution. Is that someone that your client employs, or is that your service? How does that work?
It was our person, and a single security analyst was able to process all the data for the whole pilot. So our technology is scalable in number of security analysts. We don't need many of them.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Давайте SOC правильно тут есть?
Okay.
All right. Hello, everyone. I'm glad to be here as a part of the finals. My name is Andrew, I'm from SOC Prime, and we make enterprise cybersecurity actionable. Next slide, please. So basically, we solve the problems that security these days, despite so many good solutions that provide active defense, it's still reactive. The statistics is there provided by the leading market vendors. And the problems that exist there are simple. Next slide. So basically, the first one is support, the whole foundation of how security systems function. If something goes wrong and when the attack is happening, something does go wrong, the vendor support is reactive. No security vendor guarantees a proactive support for their core technologies. Then there's limited resources, and limited resources not from only customer side, but also from the enterprise side to integrate the advanced technologies out of the box. So out of the box does not cut it in reality. And the last one, but not least, is limited information about threats and attackers. So next slide, this is how we solve it. We do three things. We do integration framework to unite biggest and best technologies in the world. We do predictive maintenance, the same stuff that was used in the automotive industry for years, but now it is time to put into security. And the last but not least is actionable threat intel. So next slide. The markets information are there, so the numbers are from IDC, from Forrester, etc. The markets that we are pioneering in the predictive maintenance for security, which we estimated based on the SIEM worldwide market. We work now with 41% of SIEM vendors, which is HP, IBM, McAfee, and Splunk. Next slide. And we have formidable competition. There are a lot of companies doing threat intelligence, from the old school AV vendors to the modern startups like ThreatStream, etc. For the predictive maintenance, there is really no dedicated companies that we see on the market. We expect a full competitor will appear maybe during the next 6 to 12 months. Next slide. So this is how we range our competitors. So number one level for threat intel is Alien Vault, open source, right? It's a very good vendor, but they're mainly focused on other things, and they provide only one indicator of compromise. We provide full sticks. Sticks is a standard by Mitre, which is over 700 indicators of compromise. So we provide better coverage. For ThreatStream, they act like a store for other data feeds, so we're looking for partnership with them. For the big vendors, we build alliances and piggyback them because we do not compete directly with their business. Next slide. So this is how the attack map would like from the modern threats, visualized by one of the vendors out there. So this is not our actual GUI, but the whole idea is the same, that attacks and risk are happening all the time. Next slide. This is how it's built. So we have a centralized SaaS cloud, which is powered by our own research, open source intelligence, processes data that we get from our customers. So we get enterprise to not only consume the data, but also to share the data with us. Next slide. So inside, we support the modern standards for all CM systems, for all the data exchange systems, to US regulations, European regulations. We provide all information, not just IP addresses, but what happened, when happened, and how to fight it. And we do it in real time or close to real time. And we do the actionable integration, so customers don't have to spend time coding in and writing scripts. They can get the solutions that works. Next slide. So predictive maintenance, there is a demo, so let's go really quickly about it, 5 seconds per slide, please. So this is how we go. Please click next. Next. It will be more detailed. Yes, next again. So this is how it looks. Diagnostic logs. A CM system or big data system will produce millions of lines of logs per second. You have no time to humanly analyze it. So what you can do, you can zip up this file and next, and you can upload it to our website. We released a freemium service that looks for top 5 errors and provides you result instantly. So once you upload, click next. It's analyzed and shows you the graphs. Do you have errors or not? What is the severity? This is what is written in the logs. Then in up to 3 minutes, next slide, we send a report over email that has detailed analysis based on the metrics which are universal to top 4 CM vendors. So all of them we can analyze against these metrics. And on the next slide, you can see the details, the priorities, what you need to do, what is the risk, how to fix it, external links to vendor sites, to research, etc. So let's go on with the other slides. I have more info about the traction. So this is a package we developed with Qualys. Okay, skip this one. I will answer the questions. So model is SaaS-based subscription. Next, please. So we did already a seminar with Qualys across Central Europe with 4 countries with our integration pack, and we engaged over 40 companies in 4 days. It was 4 cities. We drove at nights and presented at days. And on the next slide, you can see some results. So in April, we had this amount of leads, which were mostly local projects and close projects. In May, we got 20 plus leads, and it keeps increasing. We actually now engaged partners. Please go to the next slide. And here's the pipeline from our partners. One works for CEE from Czech Republic to Central Europe. Another works for CIS, Kazakhstan, Russia, etc. So we already have like 30 deals in the pipeline, which are at different stages. Next, please. This is a funnel, sales funnel. We implemented CRM 3 weeks ago. Now we got really cheap CRM solution, but you can see the projected revenue based on the weighted pipeline. Next, please. So the contracting sum of the guys, so this is 2 local banks in Ukraine. They are part of international groups, so we work our way bottom up. And we also partner with leading technologies. So with Qualys, NHP, we've already signed technical alliance. IBM, Intel, and Splunk are coming up next. Next slide. Okay.
Okay.
Yes, please.
When we talked about this yesterday, I was not satisfied with the answer that we got about scaling.
Yeah.
So a top-ranked threat intelligence vendor, Kaspersky, F5, F-Secure, FireEye, has a minimum 5 million probes on the network, which is massive cost to implement, massive. And in addition, merely the transport of this data is massive cost. So how do you start at scale?
Okay, a very good question. So I'll answer first the transport. So the transport, we already developed a cloud infrastructure that allows to anonymize data, index it, compress it, and securely exchange it. So all clients we showed the mechanisms to, they're fine with also sharing data with us because we remove all potential and potentially confidential data that they might have. So in a way, we want enterprises to share the data, and we also base our pricing not just flat fee, but depending how much they contribute. But this is just one of the options.
Okay. Let me be a VC and be a little bit more direct. How many probes do you have today?
In probes, we work with 3 telecom companies in Ukraine, and the amount of probes is not so big. Okay, so it's different kind of probes, different, etc. Just our view on it that intelligence is one of the pieces that is needed to work. For example, yes, I agree that FireEye and F5 are strong vendors, but if you look at the example of FireEye, that they send alerts during target hack, alerts do not equal security. There needs to be much more to that. That's why we make also integration and predictive maintenance. But yes, I expect big costs from probes building. We also looking forward to partner with some guys on technical alliances. We have some companies from Germany who helps us on that. So geographically, we have more power and more speed to put probes in here. In US, we probably have to resell some feeds.
Okay, so I actually liked what you guys are doing,
Thank you.
but the problem is that there are at least two companies, two different companies in what you just presented. So one is the threat intelligence company that, as Jeff indicated, you face some tough competition
Yes,
and there are some
for sure.
challenges there. And the other one, which is more on the actionable part, okay, bringing that threat intelligence into the enterprise, matching that against the logs from the SIEM or other sources, coming up with recommendations and so forth, which I think is actually more interesting than threat intelligence, because you can buy threat intelligence feeds in the market today.
sure.
Okay, you don't need your own sensor network. Okay,
course.
so if I were you, I would respond to Jeff saying, okay, we have 0 sensors, or we plan to have 0. Today we have some, but in the future we'll have 0 because we rely on third parties. So that's one thing. Second is that once it comes to actionable intelligence, the question that you didn't address almost completely is the fact that if you really want to provide tier 1 actionable intelligence, enterprises are very different from one another. Okay, so it's one thing to provide that, let's say, for perimeter web kind of proxy or other such as the logs that you showed. Okay, it's a very different thing to provide that to, let's say, to Citibank, okay, which have a very complex IT infrastructure, okay, with multiple environments, multiple threat vectors. So I think that you first of all need to focus really where you're aiming at, whether you're providing your solutions for, let's say, web front end, web proxy, and so forth, or whether are you going to the tier 1, and if you're going to the tier 1, the question would be how are you going to cope with all of that, because you really need to understand the topology, you really need to understand the IT infrastructure, which is a huge challenge just from a configuration management and such.
Yes, I agree. Very good points. And I want to say that we actually have a plan for all of that. So this is why we work from maintenance part, because this is what every enterprise who has a SIEM or big data needs today. It's easy for us to get into, so a freemium service. Then we didn't get to part of our advisory board, but basically we have guys who have been in the security field for 20 plus years, both as regional sales directors and as forensics investigators, ethical hackers, etc. So they help us to bring the message from the risk management perspective to the enterprise. So we don't come from engineers.
I would say do less, be more focused, and be more, you're trying to do too much.
Yes.
Yeah, so we ask a question of companies, which is very simple.
Okay.
Do you do one thing or two? Do you produce a product offered, or are you a consulting company? And I'm not asking for an answer. I'm just giving you advice to think about for the future. Because a company that is a consulting company is very different from a company that is offering a product that you can download and try, or you can download and run. So just keep in back.
Okay, sure. Thank you. And it is in mind what we have. Okay, so we have 2 products, 1 platform. So this is to comment on that. Okay, thank you very much for questions. It was a pleasure.
Let's start it. Hello, everyone. I'm glad to introduce you Project Shield. It's a complex for protection of automated control systems. Please next. Well, today automated control systems, I will say ACS, more short, in future, are widely used all over the world in every sphere of our life. And with growing number of such systems, number of malware grows as well. So the next one. What are solutions for today on this market? There are a lot of great products for protection of automated control systems. It's antiviruses, SCADA scanners and auditors, IPS hardware, software firewalls, and diode gateways, and so on. But all of these products works just works just with higher and middle layer of ACS. But sensors, devices, field level, and technological protocols on middle layer are not protected yet. Next one, please. That's why we started developing of product Shield. It improves reliability of ACS and helps to protect from malware and software attacks. So there are some issues for it. It's checking of electrical characteristics, overloads protection, distractions packets protection, transferring data control, system integrity control, technological processes control, and some other features. And all of them together helps us to provide complex protection of ACS. Next one. Today we have 3 modifications of our complex. It's a small scanner with touch screen. It's a portable device. It can be connected to ACS and scan it once. Smart router works 24 hours, 7 days a week, and it realizes protection functions in network, in local network. So, and the biggest device is a modular solution for large industrial objects. We use a compact PCI bus for connection of our modules, and it can be these modules can be changed from ACS to ACS if you need it. The next one, please. Product architecture. Every our protection device are connected to main server, and every device performs parsing of packets and fast detection of threats and attacks, but server performs analytics analysis and control of technological processes. And we have graphical user interface, and it provides configuration of protection devices and full monitoring of security situation. So the number of such devices depends on ACS complexity. The next one. Why now? History of project is rather interesting and started after Stuxnet attack on Iron Station and some other attacks on Google, Yahoo, Symantec, and Adobe. And into 2010, Shield was transferred into practice. Today we have patents worldwide, and we have agreement with InfoWatch about cooperation. The next one. We are developing our product in National Research Nuclear University MIFI, and our university supports this developing. Thank you. We can use laser center and pilot production center to perform prototype production, and we also made a pilot zone on the territory of MIFI with a power plant, automation equipment, where we can optimize Shield algorithms for work in real conditions. The next one, please. So we have several pilot zones and integrations today, and work with such companies as Russian Railways, Moscow Metro, Russian Telecom Equipment Company, and Rosneft. We also have integrations. First integration we made in Federal Security Service, with Federal Security Service into the Russian government building 3 years ago. The next one, please. Well, some words about market, and they all say that market is growing every time. The next. So here's financial plan, lots of numbers. Please, next. Okay.
I have a question. You want to take it? Okay. Which kind of technological process you protect in Russian railways?
We are working with power plants, which provides electricity to locomotives. And we are working with today with making audit for these objects and the researching for find some problems in these automated control systems.
So you just make audit, you don't have integration?
We are started to research this moment, and integrations will be this year, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Describe the implementation and integration process. I'm trying to understand what effort is required to actually deploy something like that, let's say on in an industrial setting, like a power plant, for example, in terms of time, effort, number of people involved, things like
Of course. The integration takes about 3 months, and lots of professionals. We work with people of target companies who can help us to understand technological processes, with people from security, security class, and of course, every automated system is different from other. That's why this process takes about 3 months. We have to completely take together all the models into our device, and we have to optimize our software.
Is this an inline system?
What?
Is this an inline system? Is it out of band or in line with the networking flow?
No, it's not linear system.
Inline, то есть это на пути прохождения сигнала.
Yeah. Our protection devices are connected to communication lines.
Okay.
And we perform an analysis of all the signals.
Okay, great. So
Are you on the line of that signal, or you just getting copy of it?
We have several products, and in line and getting the copy from mirroring from network equipment to there are several different realizations for different objects, because sometimes we can stand in line, sometimes technological process don't let us do it.
So couple of things. Don't waste your time on inline products for industrial internet in the next 20 years. Okay, they will never accept it. That's one thing. Second is that, really, just save your money. Do work on the port mirroring or whatever. Second, proprietary hardware. Not sure it would work. Okay, they like their own hardware. Third thing, work with the large system integrator, General Electric, Siemens, Schneider. Otherwise, no customer except for trials would work for you. And just one more tip, especially energy production, but also in most industrial domains, there are two populations: the security guys and the operational guys.
Yeah.
Right? They hate each other.
It's problem.
They don't talk to one another.
Yeah.
If you come up with a security solution, which has no benefit for the operational guys, let alone that in many cases you cannot differentiate between a cyber attack and an operational issue from just looking at the network, then if you don't come up with something that has operational benefit, it will be very, very hard to sell.
Great, thanks for your tips. I'll tell you that we are working with such vendors as Siemens and Schneider Electric, of course, and we've also. Well, that's all I think.
One short question.
You're talking about machine learning in this solution.
Yes, integration includes machine learning and adding rules.
So
by the hands.
the question is about false positive, false negative. What figures has already achieved, and who is in charge of machine learning algorithms in your team?
And this is why you should never have inline in industrial, because zero tolerance for false positive.
I understand. You see, machine learning, which we can use here, is in the ranges of technological processes, and it used only on integration phase, and after integration, we can see what our system collected and what rules we get.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Today I would like to concentrate more on our business model and on the way we make our product successful commercially. In brief, we verify the authenticity of digital documents for the companies. We started working with the insurance companies in Russia, and we developed a model of negotiations with clients. And so how it works. Firstly, we take a bunch of photos or scanned copies of documents to verify, and we make a report in which the client sees statistics, some fraudulent cases, alerts on the fraudulent cases, and recommendations. After that, we negotiate the fraudulent cases with the appropriate department in the company. We calculate losses, and after that we have the real value for this client, and besides the common reference for other clients and cases for our portfolio. This way we used in such companies as Ингострах, Уралсиб, МСК, Важное новое страхование, and other big insurance companies in Russia, and this way proved its efficiency. And we use it now for financial organizations, micro-financial organizations, car-sharing organizations, and other. And another thing I would like to say is our business model and the scheme we make sales. We have a platform. Different parts of this platform, such as ADK, APA, and others, are combined based on business tasks of each client. For example, for underwriting departments in insurance companies, they need such features as resizer, because they have very large volumes of photos and they need to store it. And at the same time, they don't want to lose important information of characteristics of files. Excuse me. For companies that have mobile applications, we have SDK. For companies that have B2B portals where agents download PDFs or photos, we have a file classifier, so etc. This way proved its efficiency. Way of the platform, because we don't need to change internal business process of clients. We just propose to them different options, among which they choose the most convenient for them. And we are working mainly through partners, for big integrators and technological solutions providers. And as to market size, the calculation was based before it. The calculation was based on the proportion of e-signed documents. Its market size is $500 million. So the other 99% of other digital documents, which authenticity can be called authentic, as it's not e-signed and it is to be verified, is $50 billion US dollars. So that's all. And this is how I can say a few words about competition. We have 4 competitors. One of them is free software, and it has very simple algorithms. The others, they don't have customized solutions, so their solutions are not successful commercially. That's why we analyzed their way, and we've chosen the way of platform solution. Thank you.
Question: any pilots outside Russia?
We don't have pilots, but now our product is tested by one Australian governmental authority, and we have already sales in CIS.
So the question I have is that I agree with you to avoid getting into the mess of e-documents, but in analyzing photographs and other things for accuracy, you can also build additional products. You can build things like you can maintain history of when a document was originated and other things.
Yes, we help.
I see.
Excuse me, could you please show the slide with the market? Could you please tell a couple of words about this market, because it says that it's 50 billion USD dollars. Is it market exactly for your product, or is just a signed document general market?
No, e-signed documents is only 1% of all documents, so its size is $50 billion, and we just made a proportion
So
because
basically,
it's really hard to calculate.
So basically, your competitors are working on 1% of total market. Is it right?
No, our competitors, these are not companies in e-signed documents market. It's they also verify the authenticity of documents that are not e-signed, but it's their market too. There are the 99%.
Okay.
They are just our competitors in this.
Quick question. When you described the way you solve the problem, it sounded a little bit like what you're doing is more like a project-based, almost consulting work. When you said we engage, we negotiate, we advise, and things like that. And yet you describe it as a software product. Is this a fully automated software tool, or do you deliver it as a service that?
It's full automated, but I wanted to say a few words how we started, how we elaborated the platform, and how we collected the use cases and the real cases to show to our clients, real losses.
So there are validated cases that can be shown to, in a sales perspective, that it not only does it work, but that people have saved substantial amounts of money due to either not paying out on fraud or detecting that there was inadequate documentation at the beginning.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when you implemented that with customers, did you do it only on a departmental level or regional level, or do you have like a full-scale implementation?
We have different ways of entering into the company. We negotiate with different departments.
Okay, because these approaches, okay, of image processing to identify whatever anomalous documents, okay, people have tried that before. And I think that there are, more than just 4 different competitors. There are actually many more, including some large companies that integrate that as a feature into their platforms. But I think that where many of these image processing technologies have failed is in large-scale implementations. Yeah. Because then the diversity, and it's not enough to have just a document classifier that you mentioned, the diversity and the heterogeneity of the documents is such that you get, again, and you did mention that you do some kind of a supervised machine learning to based on historical fraudulent documents. I think that this would be very hard to scale in a large organization. If you keep it on a departmental level or branch level or whatever, yes, okay, but if you go beyond that and try to implement that centrally, it has challenges, and therefore I would suggest that if you do pursue that, try and come up with a sales and marketing strategy that is actually more land and expand, as we call it, rather than go after the tier ones.
Okay, thank you.
Guys, please keep the microphone to your cheek, because we are on their cameras, and there are no volume if you are not speaking into their microphone. Thank you a lot. Network Defender.
Presentation, please. Hello. We will present our project, Network Defender. Next slide, please. Why we propose this project? Because right now we have a new type of network threats with threats for network switches and routers. Next slides. Why this problem is very important? Because in 2018 year we have viruses epidemic in Latin America and for 400,000 switches was infected. Next slide. Our conception worked with routers and switches. We only software program. We can connect to switches and routers through SSH and make a dump of memory and firmware, checks memory and firmware with control sum and with antiviruses, and if it needs, we can change firmware with etalon. Now we support only Cisco and Huawei with our prototype. Next. In end of the second quarter, we will make full product with support Cisco and Huawei, and to fourth quarter we will support Alcatel and Juniper. Next slide. Why no? Because right now we have new client paying. Next slide. Right now we have a statistic about infection about routers Linksys and with viruses Moon and Trojan rather for iOS Cisco. Statistics since we have in our presentation, if it needs, we can show for all. Yeah. Next. What about market size? We will go to only enterprise security market, and first place for our products is only Latin America, because in this market we have client paying. Our competition, we have some competition with only vendor software. Why we better? Because we support multi-vendor platform, not only one vendor. Next slide. Next. What business model we will use? We will use a classic business model with we will use a classic business model with distributor, reseller, and end user. Next slide. Our team now is 3 people. Am I, Alexander Kolobelnikov, Sergey Alexandrov, and Vladimir Ivashkin. Thank you. Your questions?
So just to understand, you verify the firmware, and then if you find it's malicious or whatever, then you can also optionally update it.
Yes.
Okay. And you, as a third-party provider, you think customers will allow you to update the firmware on their network elements?
Could you repeat, please?
I'm just asking. You're tackling a problem which is, significant. Okay, the fact that network elements have malicious firmware installed on them. Okay, and yet you believe that as a third-party provider, not authorized, not certified by the likes of Cisco, Huawei, and others, you'll be able, or customers will allow you to update the firmware on the network elements, where they have their own proprietary platform to do that.
Yeah. Okay, I understand. Now we have some problem what vendors not in all network equipment can verify firmware. And now we have problem what users and administrators in corporate network can verify viruses only when have viruses attacks. They can't verify viruses in network equipment.
There's a huge business problem here, and which I suggest that you look further into. And not, one aspect of it is the fact that by doing or by implementing your product, okay, this will make void all the warranty and SLA and maintenance agreements that those network element providers are actually allowing customers to enjoy.
And actually it will completely break software management workflow on the every big enterprise, because all the software updates in every big enterprise done through workflow process, and you are just out of that process. So it will, again, in reality, it's, or you find a way how you can be integrated into that workflow, or there is no way to be really implemented in any of big customers.
Okay, we can only detect the problem, but not update firmware.
No, I think there's another way. I am completely with you, which is we bear the scars of managing very big networks, which is there is no way to solve the combinatorial problem of 500 different devices from 70 manufacturers, each releasing every quarter a new version. And what he is saying is that in the experience of guys who run big networks, the very number of combinations is going to work against you. So what guys use in very, very large networks is a release train with a testing train, with a deployment train, and all of that is under revision control. And if you break his revision control by arbitrarily putting some software out, he's going to A, throw you out, and then B, will probably come to try to kill you because you've broken his network. So we're worried about the number of combinations and the process being.
Okay. In Cisco, we have different product, smart security. What can pay another and can update all network, but with equipment use TFTP server. We use TFTP server too, but we modified some command. We modify some parser who work with network equipment better than original. And right now we have any problem with Cisco ASA and Cisco use and Huawei.
It's a question. Have you already had some pilot project, maybe prospective clients, leads? Have you already discussed this solution with any of your potential client?
No, right now no.
Thank you.
We cannot do it.
You cannot break the process.
Another question. For two meetings that we couldn't see yesterday, and they're also
That's unfortunate.
It's not about
It's unfortunate. It didn't work. Okay.
We can meet with companies separately.
Hello. I would like to present our project, EDS. We are trying to solve a very common end user problem to protect private files of a user. Almost everyone has private files which should be accessible only by a legitimate user. Many operating systems has a built-in solutions to protect files, but they are protected all at once. It is not always a convenient solution. Usually we have a subset of files which should be additionally protected and which should be available only part of the time. Also,
the microphone, please.
Yes. We need to remember a lot of passwords, PIN codes, etc. Also, today we upload a lot of our files to cloud storages. Maybe you know recent iCloud leaks, scandals, when user private photos were compromised. We are also trying to solve this problem. One proven solution is to use virtual encrypted disks. The problem is there are no good mobile solution for virtual encrypted disks. Our solution allows to use virtual encrypted disk on Android, and we are going to develop a solution for iOS and Windows Phone. Also, our solution is a universal solution. It includes a password manager. So we can have on our virtual encrypted disk, we can store our media files, we can store arbitrary files, and we can store PIN codes, passwords, and all of this information is indexed and can be quickly located. Our solution supports several container formats, which are popular on desktops. Our project is the first one which provided full-featured TrueCrypt container support on Android. Later, we added VeraCrypt containers, Lux, Free OTFE, etc. Formats. And we plan to add NKFS support. Now we can upload our virtual disk container, it's a single file, to a cloud storage. Then we can open files directly from that container. We don't have to download the whole container to our device. The encryption and decryption keys never leave our device, so even on a cloud storage, our data remains protected. among our competitors, there are already some virtual encrypted disk solutions and popular password managers like LastPass. But they don't have. Our solution is most feature-rich solution. We provide large set of encryption algorithms, key derivation algorithms. We support hidden containers, so we can hide even the fact of existence of certain data. Even if you are forced to reveal a password from your container. Okay.
Okay, so I'll play back the one-line elevator pitch, as we call it. So you were doing the analog of TrueCrypt, but for multiple devices and for virtual file systems. Yes. And you also do a password manager. And so the TrueCrypt was very nice until the NSA convinced them that it was in their health interest not to continue developing, and so TrueCrypt is dead in the water. The problem is TrueCrypt was free, and the assumption by the users is that it was free. So if you were going to sell a replacement a container encryption mechanism or file encryption, or even a password manager, do you think how do you expect to make money off of this?
We have a free and open source version which supports TrueCrypt containers. In our paid version, we've added a lot of little but useful features like, for example, pattern passwords, indexed database. We added support for VeraCrypt containers, which is a fork of TrueCrypt. We plan to add other container supports.
The precise question was, we understand, rather, I understand what you're going to do in the future, but will people pay, and do you plan to charge them?
Yes, people pay. We already have sales, and we have a lot of user feedback, actually. And we are enhancing our product based on people feedback.
I have a question to you. What kind of crypt do you use?
We are using a proven encryption algorithms, AES, two-fish. We support combined encryption algorithms like AES combined with Serpent and two-fish and all other combinations of these algorithms. We use PBKDF to procedure to generate keys from passwords. We also support several hashing functions in PBKDF, including SAH 512, Whirlpool, and others.
And one more question. Can you... so what do you think about current offering from different MDM vendors who is also offering encryption for smartphones and tablets, and password management and some other nice features?
Samsung has its Knox software, but it's rather complicated. It's hard to use. It's bound to their models, and we would like to make our product available on all platforms, including iOS, Windows Phone, and PC. And the containers already supported on PC. Also, we know LastPass as our competitor. They allow to store only structured data like pins, passwords. They don't allow to store files, media files, documents, etc. So we have a simple advantage. we can store any kind of data.
Is there any questions? No questions. Thank you.
Перерыв на 5-10 минут. Сейчас жюри примет решение и будет объявлен счастливый финалист. Через 10 минут.
Я думаю, что лучше там минут 10 точно погулять, потому что...
Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to award prizes for different places. So we have third, second, and first prize. And I am a big believer not in torturing people with, going from reverse. But the thing I would like to say is the people who do not win the cash prize have not lost. That the people who have come in at either third place or second place will receive a different type of prize. And the reason that we put people into third place or second place is because we liked the idea very much as a group, as a jury, but we thought that there were areas that needed development, further development. And we think that the ideas are strong in numerous areas, but that they need further development in some areas, and that we, as a group, venture capital guys and technology guys, will help them to develop in consultation. So what we would like to do is for the people who are third place guys and the people who are second place guys, and even the first place guys, we will work with you to develop the idea and to proceed farther along with the idea. So it is not the intent that the cash prize means you're smarter than everyone else and there is no exclusion for everyone else. It means that we are going to help everybody, number 3, number 2, and number 1. So
Actually, we are happy to help anyone.
he is VC. We're happy to help anyone. Please take a number outside. He will be seeing you in order. So I think what we would like to do is, again, as a group of 7 guys, we talked about this, and those companies that we eliminated for reasons of market was extremely difficult to get. It was extremely difficult to see operational model that worked with current products or that interfered, and et cetera. So with number 3, we awarded the number 3 prize to Cybertonica, because we believe that the idea is strong. We think the team is very good, and we think that some additional development needs to be done on the tension between merchant, website, and other users, and that how the message is packaged for all of those. So that was number 3. So Cybertonica is number 3. So thank you, guys. So very good. Congratulations to you. And again, the third prize is, as with any, please come. We will work with you to develop the idea. And hopefully we will not pervert your idea and make it, you are making flying cars. Okay. So number 2 was SOC Prime. We thought as a group of a jury that this was a very good idea, and that, but what we did not agree upon, I shouldn't say that. What we agreed to disagree upon was the fact that offering threat intelligence is one thing. Offering value in the security space is different. And that might involve consulting. That's fine. It might involve something else. But the business model that was presented encompassed several different things all at the same time. So to make it a successful company, successful companies do one thing really well. So we would like to help, as a group, we would like to, companies, VCs and others, we would like to help develop what is the one thing that your sales guy can go out and tell the customer, here's what we do better than anyone else in the world. One thing. You can have 5 things that support it, but one thing. Okay? Yeah, so the name of the company, again, it was SOC Prime. So if you guys are here, thank you very much. Thank you. So The company that we chose as the #1 company, we chose for a reason. Because we saw that the technology was good, but also that the solution was applicable across many industries. It was applicable across many uses, not only for something like insurance or for validation of fraud, but it was usable in many different dimensions. And what the company needs more than anything else is not development of the technology. It is deciding which markets to go after first. You see, the difference for us is which ones do you go after first, as opposed to we need to create one to go first. So with that, the winner of the prize was SMTDP, and you guys win. So congratulations. So with that, we have to give you guys something. So, Sasha? No, we both.
Значит, приз, как вы помните, от Алмаз Капитала. И вручаем мы 1,5 миллиона рублей.